Theoretical concept of language learning and teaching, Unit 6. Theories 6.1 Theories of language learning. Every human child acquires the system of his or her first language naturally and effortlessly if she is born normally and biologically fine. The child completes the language acquisition process in a short period of about 5 to 6 years. They start acquiring first language approximately at the same age and go through the similar stages of language acquisition. Their progress is unaffected by social, cultural, racial, economic, geographical, religious, and political backgrounds. How the child acquires the complex system of his or her language is still a mystery. In an attempt to answer this question, several theories have been proposed. In this chapter, we will discuss some of the theories of language learning. 6.1.1 Empiricism versus rationalism. Empiricism and rationalism are the two schools of thought at the level of philosophy which are at opposite poles and contradict at each and every point that they make. The dispute between them takes place within epistemology, a branch of philosophy which deals with the nature, source, and limits of human knowledge. Epistemology means a branch of philosophy which deals with the nature, sources, and limits of human knowledge. It means that these two theories try to answer the fundamental question of how human acquire knowledge. Regarding this, empiricism and rationalism have made their own claims and counterclaims. The term empiricism is derived from the Greek word empiria, emperia, which means experience. Empiricism holds the belief that sense experience is the ultimate source of all our concepts and knowledge. On the other hand, the term rationalism is derived from the Latin word ratio, ratio, which means intellect or reason. Rationalism is based on the belief that logic or reason is the ultimate source of knowledge. The knowledge obtained from sense perception may be false. The only source of valid knowledge is reasoning or intuition. Some of the followers of empiricism are John Locke, mm, S.T. Thomas Aquinas, George Berkeley, David Hume, Aristotle, etc. The rationalistic view of philosophy was originated. The rationalistic view of philosophy was originated from the Greek philosopher Socrates. It was popularized especially at the end of 16th century and in the beginning of 17th by Rene Descartes, Rene Descartes, Descartes, Leibniz, and Kant. The major differences between empiricism and rationalism can be shown in terms of the following criteria. Number one, ultimate source of knowledge. Empiricists believe that sense experience is the ultimate source of all our concepts and knowledge, whereas for rationalists, logic or reason is the ultimate source of knowledge. The knowledge obtained from sense perception may be false. The only source of valid knowledge, therefore, reasoning or intuition. Type of knowledge. According to empiricism, our knowledge is posteriori, posteriori, i.e., dependent on sense experience. On the other hand, according to rationalism, our knowledge is a priori, priori, i.e., independent of experience. We have knowledge of some truths in a particular subject area as part of our rational nature. Knowledge is acquired innately. The role of learning is minimal. Reason has precedence over the sense in the acquisition of knowledge, and that much of this knowledge must be innate. Number three, view on mind. Empiricism views the mind in two forms: tabula rasa, a blank sheet of paper, and a machine or camera. The mind of child at the time of birth is totally blank. it collects the data as they are. On the contrary, rationalism holds the belief that the mind of a child at the time of birth is not a tabula rasa, but there are certain priori concepts or propositions in terms of which the mind interprets data of experience. The mind is occupied with structures, processes, and ideas. Number four, principal claims. Empiricism makes the three basic claims: principle of verification, principle of reductionism, principle of association. Principle of verification, which states that no statement is meaningful unless it is verified by observation. Principle of reductionism, which states that a complete or whole thing should be understood in its parts. Principle of association, which emphasizes the association of ideas in terms of cognitive in experience. On the other hand, rationalism makes the following claims: the intuition or deduction thesis, the innate knowledge thesis, the superiority of reason thesis, uh, holism, WHOLISM, priori principle, PRIURI, priori principle, maturation principle. The intuition or deduction theories: some propositions in a particular subject are area are knowable by intuition alone. Still others are knowable by being deduced from intuited propositions. Number B, the innate knowledge thesis. We have knowledge of some truths in a particular subject area as part of our national nature. Innate knowledge thesis. Number C, the indispensability of reason thesis. Experience cannot provide what we gain from reason. Number D, the superiority of reason thesis. Reason is superior to experience as a source of knowledge. Number E, holism. Knowledge is an integrated whole which cannot be reduced into parts. F, priori principle. Priori principle. Knowledge is innate or priori. PRIORI. And number G, maturation principle. Innate knowledge automatically increase along with the maturation of child. Number 5, these are the points which come under the major differences between empiricism and rationalism, and it is number 5, the process or mechanism involved in the language acquisition. According to empiricism, imitation, repetition, training, observation, experience, etc. are the basic processes involved in language acquisition. Language acquisition is a matter of habit formation which is based on the stimulus response reinforcement SRR chain. Conversely, rationalists believe that language acquisition is a creative process involving intuition, introspection, and creation. Number 6, the acquisition tools or nature of intelligence. Empiricists believe that all living creatures, including human, have the same general intelligence, which may differ in quantity. Humans use the same intelligence for acquiring language as well as learning other skills. On the contrary, rationalists believe that unlike other creatures, humans have two types of intelligence: general intelligence and specific intelligence. Specific intelligence is responsible for language learning, and general intelligence for other skills learning except language. Number 7, the role of exposure and experience in language acquisition. Empiricists believe that exposure and experience implant the linguistic elements into the child's mind one after another. Contrary to this, mentalists hold mentalists hold the belief that both exposure and experience activate the language acquisition device LAD, which is already there in the child's mind. To sum up, empiricism and rationalism have their own arguments and counter arguments regarding how humans acquire knowledge. Empiricism focuses on the role of sense experience, while rationalism on innate ability of children in the acquisition of knowledge, including language. As a language teacher, one should have a sound knowledge of both the theories because both of them have given birth to some key concepts which are very useful for language teaching. Language acquisition is a matter of both nurture, nature and nurture. Which view is more plausible? PLAUSIBLE. It seems that rationalist view is more plausible than empiricist view. The following reason can be given in support of this. Number one, all normal human children acquire the system of their first language almost at the same age and they go through similar stages of language development. This evidence of uniformity of language acquisition goes in favor of the rationalists. This uniformity of language acquisition exists due to the fact that every human child possesses language acquisition device reality. If language acquisition is a habit formation process, a child would not be able to acquire language in a short period of time, i.e., 5 6 years. Okay. 2. Language acquisition is species specific proves the rationalist claim that there are two different intelligence areas of human beings. If there was only one intelligence, the other animals like chimpanzees also would acquire language. Number 3. The inability of clever imitators like parrot to acquire language proves that language acquisition is not an imitative process as claimed by empiricists, but a creative one is claimed by rationalists. Number 4. The fact that all children acquire language with the same degree of perfection goes in favor of innate endowment of LAD to human beings as rationalists claim. 5. The claim that language is learned bit by bit as the process of habit formation made by empiricists seems totally wrong and proofless. If language is learned item by item, the child would never be able to acquire the whole system of language even in the whole life. Okay, number 6. The child's production of overgeneralized forms proves the rationalists' claim that language learning is the rule governed process and falsifies the empiricists' claim that language learning is imitative process. Number 7. The child's production of novel utterances proves that language acquisition is creative process rather than imitative one as suggested the rationalist. Number 8. Empiricists gives empiricists gives over importance to the external factors for the acquisition of language, but in fact the cause of change in anything lies within it. The water changes into vapor when it is heated mainly due to the inherent quality of water, though there is the role of heat. It means internal factors are more important than external ones, though they have their own role. A language teacher should neither focus on rationalism or empiricism. Instead, he should think that language acquisition is the result of both nature and nurture. 6.1.2 Behaviorism versus mentalism. There are three things in life you must never run after: a boss, a woman, and a theory of transformational grammar. There will be another one along in a moment. A well known linguist. It is a saying of a well known linguist. He or she says, there are three things in life you must never run after: a boss, a woman, and a theory of transformational grammar. There will be another one along in a moment. It is a quotation under the topic behaviorism versus mentalism. Every Here it goes. Every normal human child acquires the complex system of his or home language automatically, effortlessly, and naturally in a short period of time. If he is exposed to the language, the children start acquiring the first language approximately at the same age, and he or she go thought the similar stages of language development. The rote, ROUT, and rate of language development in the case of first language acquisition is almost the same in all human children. Concerning how the vast system of language is acquired by children within a short period of time, there are two schools of thought standing at two opposite poles. They are behaviorism and mentalism. These two schools of thought represent two opposing views about how a child manages to acquire language and contradict at each and every point. These schools of thought are related to empiricism and rationalism in philosophy, and structuralism and generativism in linguistics, respectively. Behaviorism and mentalism are two schools of thought at the level of psychology, which are concerned with human behavior and the role of mind in learning, especially in learning skills. These two schools of thoughts are diametrically diametrically opposite to each other. Behaviorism is originated from the principle of empiricism, whereas mentalism from the principle of rationalism. Behaviorism is a particular version of materialism which restricts the subject matter of psychology to human behavior and sets out to explain all kinds of behavior, including speech, on the basis of deterministic psychological and biochemical process. Behaviorism was fully formulated by B.F. Skinner in his Verbal Behavior 1957. Skinner developed this theory from the early theoretical and empirical work of Pavlov PABLB, and J.B. Watson 1924. Behaviorism gives heavy emphasis on publicly observable responses and rejects such notions as internalization, intuition, internal process, and introspection. Since such mentalistic notions cannot be studied scientifically, they should not be used in language learning. It emphasizes on environmental or physical factors of learning. It believes that language learning is basically a mechanical process of habit formation. Strength of learning is measured in terms of the number of times that a response has been made and reinforced. Every utterance is produced as a response to some kind of stimuli, and reinforcement plays vital role in the child's learning. A word that has been uttered 30 times is uh, is better learned than that which has been uttered only 10 times. That is not word, that is word. It means that human beings learn the behavior in the same way as animals do. Behaviorism is based on the proposition that behavior can be studied scientifically without resources to inner mental states. Uh, it believes that linguistic system starts with a scratch and develops bit by bit. The distinguished Russian psychologist Ivan P. Pavlov conducted a series of experiments on animals. These experiments helped Watson to coin the term behaviorism. B.F. Skinner in 1957 in his Verbal Behavior proposed to apply the behavioristic theory in language teaching and learning. Thus, Skinner is said to be one of the prominent behaviorist psychologists to apply his theory profoundly in language teaching and learning. Skinner's theory of verbal behavior was an extension of his general theory of learning by operant conditioning. On the contrary, mentalism is an approach to psychology which came in reaction against behaviorism and advocates that the way beings learn is way different from the way animals learn. Human behavior can be understood in terms of mind, which is not publicly observable. Mentalists claim the prime role of mind in learning human behavior without denying the role of body or sensory organs. Chomsky Chomsky's review of verbal behavior 1959 is a hallmark for the development of mentalism. According to mentalism, language acquisition is not same as learning other skills, but it is something different. Since language is a very complex phenomenon, people have to use their mind, reason, logic, and insight to deal with it. A child is not born with an empty mind, but with innate underlying capacity. Children are genetically programmed to talk when they reach a certain stage of development. Mentalism is often equated with either idealism or dualism. Idealism states that everything that exists is mental, and according to dualism, human mind differs from matter in being non physical. Mentalism asserts that language is produced by the inborn capacity that every individual possesses. Mentalism describes language in terms of mental faculty. It is based on the idea that language is human species specific faculty. Language exists as an independent faculty in the human mind. The primary determinant of L1 acquisition is the child's acquisition device, which consists of set of principle about grammar UG is universal grammar, but it's not given there. Language acquisition is governed by innate capacity. The process of language acquisition consists of hypothesis testing. The difference between behaviorism and mentalism can be shown in terms of the following parameters. Number one, base. Behaviorism is based on the philosophical theory of empiricism, whereas mentalism on rationalism. Behaviorism is linked with structuralism in linguistics and mentalism with generativism. Central idea or basic premises. Behaviorism claims that human beings learn the behavior in the same way as animals do, whereas according to mentalism, the way human being learn is different from the way animals learn. Human behavior can be understood in terms of mind, which is not publicly observable. Human cannot be trained like animals by making use of certain procedure of stimulus response reinforcement. The main tenet of behaviorism is that everything, including language use, can be explained in terms of habits or patterns of stimulus and response built up through conditioning. But according to mentalism, language is human species specific faculty. Number three, the mind of the child at birth. According to behaviorism, the child at the birth is totally blank, i.e., tabula rasa. With the help of environmental conditions, it is printed with different chunks of language. On the other hand, according to mentalism, a child's mind at birth is not a tabula rasa, but it is equipped with what Chomsky calls language acquisition device (LAD) or what MC Nail calls innate universals. They claim that the basic principle of language are in the brain of the child in the form of LAD. It is in a dormant state, but as soon as a particular language is exposed to the child, it is activated, and once it is activated, there is no stopping. Number four, mechanisms or process involved in language learning. Behaviorism is based on the belief that language acquisition is the matter of observation, imitation, repetition, habit formation. Stimulus response reinforcement change plays vital role in process of language acquisition. Conversely, mentalism is based on the belief that language acquisition is the creative process involving intuition, creation, and introspection. Number five, nature of intelligence. According to behaviorism, all living creatures, including human beings, have general intelligence which may differ in quantity among creatures. Humans utilizes this general intelligence for all kinds of learning. Whereas according to mentalism, unlike other creatures, human being possesses two kinds of intelligence, general and specific. Specific intelligence, which Chomsky calls LAD, is used for language acquisition, whereas general intelligence is used for other skills learning except language. Number six, the role of exposure and experience in language acquisition. According to behaviorism, the role of exposure and experience is to implant the linguistic element into child's mind bit by bit, one after another. Conversely, according to mentalism, the role of exposure and experience to activate the linguistic universal, which is innately endowed in the mind, but it is in a dormant state. Number seven, view on language. Behaviorism views language as a set of habits, whereas mentalism views it as a system of rules which is internalized. View on language acquisition. Behaviorism believes that language acquisition is a linear process. Linguistic system starts with a scratch and develops bit by bit. On the contrary, mentalism believes that language acquisition is the holistic process which involves the acquisition of system while as a whole. Acquisition involves the process of hypothesis formulation and verification. Number nine, governing factor of acquisition. Behaviorism believes that language acquisition is governed by nurture or environmental factors. whereas mentalism believes that language acquisition is governed by nature or biological factors. Number 10, the major focus. Behaviorism focuses on performance and surface structure, while mentalism on competence and deep structure. Number 11, view on error correction. According to behaviorism, error correction promotes language acquisition or learning, and therefore this should be corrected as soon as possible. Whereas, according to mentalism, error correction hinders language learning. It views errors are the natural outcomes in the learning process. Number 12, the role of feedback practice and reinforcement. The role of feedback practice and reinforcement is highly focused in behaviorism, whereas they are not considered important in mentalism. Number three, mechanical versus intellectual. The behavioristic theory of language acquisition views language acquisition as a mechanical process, whereas mentalistic theory views it as an intellectual process. Followers. Some of the followers of behaviorism are Hobbes, Hobbes, Locke, L-O-C-K-E, Berkeley, Berkeley, Hume, Hume, Waston, Wastone, Pavlov, etc. Whereas some of the followers of mentalism include Chomsky, Thorndike, Kohler, Chomsky, Thorndike, Kohler, Kohler, etc. Uh, the, ba- uh, the basic learning process of behaviorism. The behaviorist regards stimulus response reinforcement SRR as the basic process of language learning or acquisition. This theory views human being as a organism capable of wide repertoire of behavior REPERTOIRE wide repertoire of behavior. The occurrence of behavior depends on the crucial elements that those elements are stimulus which elicits behavior response triggered by stimulus and reinforcement which strengthens weaknesses modifies terminates the responses. This theory can be applied to teaching language. Here the organism language learner behavior verbal behavior stimulus presentation of the behavior response learner's reaction to the stimulus reinforcement and extrinsic approval and praise of the teacher or fellow students or the linguistic self-satisfaction of the general language use.